Yeah, but I thought, well, at the time that I watched it, of course, being a young kid, like you were saying, coming back to Annie's statement, I feel like you can kind of relate to the younger people in an aspect or whatever, and so I thought it was really scary because I was like, oh man, like this could happen to me in a few years, or I could be in this predicament, and it's kind of like, what would you do in that scenario? Would you follow like what these kids do and be scared, or would you go to the cops? I think there's a big argument online about why they wouldn't just go to the cops if it was really an accident, and Ray or Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character really wasn't drinking, so he really didn't do anything wrong. Right. It wouldn't have been a hit and run if they would have called, so that's an argument. But I mean, of course it's a film, and you have to do the what do they call it? Suspension of disbelief, of course. And I think that some kids could do this. You know what I mean? It's not too far off. Of course, like the whole like the slasher element and stuff. I don't know. It plays like a 90s film, but that's why I love it so much. I feel like it's very much as good as the first Scream. It's not as meta or self-aware, and they strip everything away. It's very bare bones as far as the structure and what it's trying to do. It follows a very basic formula, but I like all the characters. I think that they're all likable in their own ways, and it's funny because everybody follows like a specific archetype. If you pay attention, like Barry is the shitty jock. Ray is the pretty boy, or from the wrong side of the tracks, you know, right. Like he's trying to be the pretty boy at least. Julie's like the girl next door, and then Helen or Sarah Michelle Gellar's character is kind of like
the pageant queen.
Yeah, like the girl who has it all, the girl that everybody wants to be with. So it was kind of, I think it's interesting in that aspect to see. They do I don't know if you guys noticed this, but they do a very good job of showing that their decisions, there's like a weight to them. So you're reintroduced to these characters about a year later, and they show, was it Julie's character, and she looks like fucking super pale and like she's kind of given up on life. She doesn't want to do anything. She doesn't even want to go home, you know. And then was it Helen? She was supposed to go to New York and have like this big life, and she just stayed.
Yeah, they had mentioned she wanted to be like a lawyer.
I feel like they do a really good job of doing that before and after, because like with Julie's character, yeah, she's just like, she looks like death, you know, and like her
beat down.
Her hair is just like super like flat and like no life to it, and then as before it was like all bouncy. So like little details like that, I noticed that they actually do a really good job with that.
They try to make her like less hot or whatever, because at the time all these people were like main players. This was for the most of them, I think it was pretty much their first big role. And that's interesting as well. A lot of these, even now, like younger stars get their start in horror. They go to horror, and then you know, they branch off. Just as most of these people have gone to do bigger and better things than this film. But it's cool that they started in the genre or whatever. I don't know. What do you guys think?
So I've got a question. Like, had these kids called the cops, would the killer have been any less pissed that he got hit by the car? Like, would he have not been still chasing them down? He would have been in jail
because he killed...
Yeah, I want to talk about... Let's talk about the subplot. I want to know if you guys... Because it's very much kind of a multiple viewing film. I feel like when I first watched it, or the couple first times, I didn't really get all of that, because it's very... they leave a lot to your imagination. They don't... And I like that. They're not like, this is this and this is what happened. It's kind of, you really have to pay attention. But it turns out that they didn't really hit what was his name? David Egan.
Egan, yeah.
Yeah. So the film starts off with that kid, David, sitting on the ledge, and he spins the little chime thing that's kind of an iconic thing of the film. And it turns out that Ben Willis, the guy that they actually hit, had just murdered this kid, David Egan, and they hit him in the process of that. So they really murdered a murderer.
Yeah. So that's why she was able to, like, at the end, like, when she goes back to college, she's, like, feeling all good about herself because, oh, well, we hit this guy that was, like...
It's almost like you did, like, the world a favor,
right.
Because he was a bad person, but then they didn't kill him all the way. And that's interesting too. That why did they dump him in the water, and then they noticed that he was alive, and they didn't think.
Only one of them noticed he was alive. Well, like when he
grabbed the crown. Because he was alive.
But when they put him when they toss him into the water, I think they all have like this impression that like
he'll drown.
He'll drown, except for Ryan Phillippe, who sees that he opens his eyes. So if anything, this is also caused by their like individual mistakes of not,
and he doesn't say anything to the others about that.
No,
yeah,
he doesn't say like I had to rip that crown.
He's so quick to. He's trying to cover it up. We need to make a pact. We're not going to talk about this. Like, this didn't happen. Like, so he'd rather just pretend that he didn't see this guy's eyes open instead of warn these people that what he saw. You know.
Yeah, I think Freddie Prinze Jr., like, he mentions that, like, I can't get out of this issue if we go to the cops, you know, because he was driving, even though he was sober, he wouldn't be able to get out of this because he doesn't have that kind of money like the other characters do. So I think that drives a lot of the decision, even though his girlfriend is like, this is wrong, like... I think ultimately, like, him and Ryan Phillippe, Barry, kind of feed off of each other. Like, Barry is like, that's my fucking car. Like, the girls were just there for the ride, honestly. Like, but they're the ones who are really in trouble. The car owner and the driver. And so they feed off of each other. And so when one of them suggests that, the other one's like, man, that does sound like a good idea. But I think if they had, if it would have been a different driver, or it would have just played out a little different. But I think there was a lot of them, they were the ones responsible. So that's why I don't understand how, like, he, at least, Freddie Prinze Jr., like, lived through that. Because I was like, well, it was really you and your homie who murdered these dudes.
That's a big thing. That's a big question I have with this film and the second film. Why is he so intent on killing Julie James? Because she's just a passenger, basically a bystander.
Right.
Ray is the real one who's driving and hit him.
Also, why does he kill Max? Is that his name? He was the first person that he killed in the movie. And I was like, wait, why did he kill him? Like, he wasn't in his way for anything. Although he was there that night on the road.
I don't know if that has to do with anything that he passed through, or if it was to send a message to the people. It was just like kind of a filler kill to scare them.
Right. Because they do say, oh, he's just fucking with us. He could have killed us. He could have done this, and he hasn't done it.
And why did he? Like, why did he, like... Barry's character, like, why didn't he was standing over him? He could have easily killed
because
him.
it was very much I'm just going to torture you for this. I could get you at any time, like the Michael Myers type of deal, where it's like I could kill you at any moment, but I'm gonna psychologically fuck with you,
have fun with it.
Yeah.
So why do you think he is so intent in, like, going after Julie, or just, like, messing with her so much?
I don't know.
Her purity that she wanted
I honestly
to...
think it's more like the actor and like the status of them, like, in real life. Because Freddie Prinze Jr. and what's her name?
Sarah
Jennifer
Michelle.
Love?
No, Love Hewitt.
Yeah,
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Yeah, I think maybe people were already seeing that they were going to be like rising
More
stars
pull.
and
Yeah.
like, you know.
Well, to be fair, this movie did super well at the box office because it was at the cusp of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Buffy had just came out, so she had this huge following,
Yeah.
and all these people went to watch this because she was this big. She was already this big star. So it's arguably, if you really think about the film. They play Julie's character as the final girl, but she's kind of a shitty final girl. She doesn't really do much. She's like in a bad mood the whole time. She kind of treats everybody. She treats Ray like shit the whole time. You know, even though she's like, "Oh, I don't blame you, but I still don't want anything to do with you." Like,
And then she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take the love at the end." Like when he's, "I'm in love
And then-
with you."
and then-
Like, what?
and then Helen is like trying to be like this super good, you know, like her life is went to shit. She's still trying to get her best friend back, and there's this part in the car where she really kind of, she's like, "Hey, you know, like I miss you," like really spilling, you know, kind of wearing her heart on her sleeve, and Julie's just like,
She
I
shuts
don't,
her out.
yeah, I don't care. You know what I mean? And then ultimately after that, Helen dies or whatever. But I feel like, in my opinion, it might have been cool to see Helen be the final girl. As far as her character, I feel like she had a lot more going for her. And
Or the two girls, because
I
they
feel
didn't
honestly, I feel
kill
like
him.
Helen had the best on-screen chase and like kill, and like she had more time than anybody else, and I think that's like what you were saying, maybe because of the whole Buffy thing. They're like, "Oh, you're not really the main character, but we can give you all of this to work with."
I agree.
Oh,
Should've
No,
did
no, no.
well.
I just agree with them.
I have a bonus Swan fact.
Right on.
They had actually came in and auditioned for each other's characters first. So Jennifer was trying to be Helen, and Sarah wanted to be Julie, and then the roles were swapped.
And you know, at the beginning when they're at the beach and they're all just like shooting the shit, like it does feel like they should be with each other's partner. Like I felt like, you know, not because Freddie Prinze Jr. is married to Sarah Michelle Gellar, but just
like the chemistry or something.
Yeah. I was like, I didn't think it was believable that they were both with the. Like, with that Ryan Phillippe was with Sarah Michelle Gellar. And I don't know if it's like the hair color, but it kind of bugged me that they were like kind of mirrored of each other. I understand that he was like more of a, not even a jock, but yeah, I guess the jock type, but like.
He was, because he played football.
Yeah.
Remember, they still his
like
jersey
his
or whatever.
Yeah, his Letterman jacket or whatever, but like, and I understand she's like pageant queen, but like, I didn't like that they looked too much like each other. Like the blonde hairs, and then like.
I didn't even think about that.
And then like.
That's strange.
The ones with the dark hair were together, and I was like, why don't you just guys swap each other? Like, that's.
Maybe it's because, like, Sarah playing Buffy, she's already, like, a really strong, like, character. Her, you know, personality. I'm sure she already has, like, that oomph that, you know, that you need for that show, and her coming in, they're like, oh, maybe that's a little bit too strong.
Maybe, yeah.
Let's swap it with.
Maybe they don't want to
you know,
play into, like, oh, she's the survivor.
Right, exactly.
So maybe that makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah.
She was obviously the bigger role of the person who was gonna get killed. Like, I don't know, that scene was pretty gnarly. Like at the dress shop or whatever.
Yeah,
and her sister's getting carried out.
That's
on the
one
hook.
of my favorite
like,
scenes. Yeah, I feel like that's the most gory-ish kill that they show. I don't know.
Max's was pretty bad too. The like dragged across
Oh,
that
yeah.
table.
That's like a phobia kind of, you know, like.
Yeah, things coming from beneath. Yeah, yeah.
Because you know that would
like
fucking hurt, like that would hurt
Yeah.
or whatever. And
It's
it's
like
like
a
all the dental like aspect or whatever too.
I just don't like things coming from beneath. I remember seeing this one movie, and maybe a listener will guess this, but it was a movie and someone had like a knife to like your around your ankles, and I don't know if this is like a Chucky movie.
Hostel?
Or maybe, and I no, but it had to have been like years ago. But yeah, that's always been a phobia. I'm like, oh, no one better fucking get my